Good morning, everyone, and aloha. Thank you so much for joining us via Facebook this morning. We really appreciate all of you being together for this Nihang A service. And we are hoping that we will be able to again reopen the temple in the near future so that we can have some of you here in person. It's been a very long journey through COVID. In 1988, when my daughter Amy was 2.5 years old, she came over to me in her pajamas and said, "Mommy, I have something to tell you." Then she leaned over and whispered in my ear. This is what she said. "Breathing in, I calm body and mind. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know this is a wonderful moment." 3 decades later, I remember that moment clearly. How amazed and delighted I was by my little girl's recitation of one of Thich Nhat Hanh's mindfulness verses. This Vietnamese Zen teacher, poet, and peace advocate, who was just becoming known in the United States, had entered the life of my family. In fact, the story about Amy, which I just shared, was included in a book called Dharma Family Treasures, Sharing Buddhism with Children. My husband, Amy, and I were fortunate to have been living in Berkeley, California back then when Thich Nhat Hanh's first books were being published by Parallax Press in Berkeley. I remember reading one of his early books called Being Peace, and knowing immediately that I had found a wonderful Dharma teacher whose teachings spoke to me, a young mother with a little child at home and a husband in graduate school. I remember reading in Being Peace these words: "If we are peaceful, if we are happy, we can blossom like a flower, and everyone in our family, our entire society, will benefit from our peace." And these words: life is filled with suffering, but it is also filled with many wonders, like the blue sky, the sunshine, the eyes of a baby. To suffer is not enough. We must also be in touch with the wonders of life. They are within us and all around us, everywhere, anytime. Who was this Buddhist teacher whose words were clear and refreshing, alive and full of wisdom and compassion? Who was this teacher who spoke directly to my heart, rekindled my appreciation of the Dharma, and gave me guidance in mothering my little child? Who was this teacher whose words were simple, calm, and poetic? I knew then that he would be one of my great teachers in this life. Then I heard that Thich Nhat Hanh was going to speak at a small theater in Berkeley, and decided that I needed to be there. What I vividly remember is how soft his voice was. When he began speaking, I remember thinking, I wish someone would turn up the microphone volume. His voice, so gentle and quiet, was like a breeze rustling the leaves of the bamboo. And by the way, someone did go up and turn up the mic volume, much to my relief, and I'm sure the relief of everyone else in the theater. For I needed so much to hear what this gentle monk had to say. how to describe this soft-spoken Buddhist teacher in simple brown robes who walked everywhere, the way that we Soto Zen Buddhists practice King-Hing, a very slow form of mindful walking inside the meditation hall between periods of seated meditation. In the preface of Being Peace, I found the perfect description by Richard Baker Roshi, who was quoted as saying that Thich Nhat Hanh was, I quote, a cross between a cloud, a snail, and a piece of heavy machinery, a true religious presence. Yes, I thought, the perfect description of this humble Vietnamese Buddhist monk. In Berkeley, Mike, Amy, and I were living in family housing, an apartment located on the grounds of a Christian seminary where my husband was studying theology. As the parent of a young child who was just about to start preschool in a community to which I was very new, I felt that I needed to ground myself in some way and take refuge in the three treasures. Without a sangha with whom to practice zazen, or the space in my life for any kind of formal Buddhist study, I found in Thich Nhat Hanh's writings all that I needed to nourish myself spiritually at that time. So, with little Amy in my arms and tagging along beside me, my greatest wish was to be a good mother to her and practice conscious parenting. When she, at 2.5, whispered into my ear the poem by Thich Nhat Hanh, I knew that she was watching me, imitating me, and absorbing into her body and mind her first Dharma teachings. I was Amy's sensei, little Amy was my sensei, and Thich Nhat Hanh came to be one of our beloved senseis. His teachings on mindfulness became a part of our daily family life. I remember purchasing some cards illustrated by Mayumi Oda, whom my family had the good fortune of meeting and visiting in her home near the Green Goat Zen Center, thanks to my cousin Mushum Ikeda. On these cards were short verses by Thich Nhat Hanh. I posted them all over our apartment. I believe it was Mushum who taught us the song Breathing In, Breathing Out. Amy and I sang it all the time. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. I am blooming as the flower. I am fresh as the dew. I am solid as a mountain. I am firm as the earth. I am free. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. I am water reflecting what is real, what is true. And I feel there is space deep inside of me. I am free. I am free. I am free. A number of years went by and our little family grew with the birth of Ryan. Amy, who was in kindergarten in San Francisco, taught her baby brother the songs she knew, so Thich Nhat Hanh was still very much a part of our lives. When our family moved to Kona to take care of my mom, Tutu Mildred, I began helping our minister at Daifukuji, Reverend Ryuji Tamiya, with the children's Sunday school Dharma program, and we brought in the songs and verses of Thich Nhat Hanh to teach the children. Grateful that Tamiya Sensei was not only very open-minded, but he also deeply appreciated Thich Nhat Hanh's teachings. He invited Arnie Cutler and Therese Fitzgerald, Soto Zen teachers who started Parallax Press, to offer days of mindfulness at Daifukuji. Arnie and Therese had moved to the Big Island. So we are all connected. Being of the Soto Zen tradition, we introduced the children to the practice of Zazen, sitting in silence, and taught them to pay attention to their breathing. Our dear music teacher at the time, Auntie Tora, played her guitar and led us in singing another one of Thich Nhat Hanh's verses. In, out, deep, slow, calm, ease, smile, release, present moment, wonderful moment. These mindfulness verses entered our hearts and minds in a natural, unhurried sort of way. Like rice and bananas and lilikoi jam, they entered our bodies and became part of ourselves. My son Ryan, like his big sister Amy, grew up singing these songs together with the students in our Dharma school program here at Daifukuji. As a college student, Ryan had the opportunity to travel abroad with a group of students and their teacher. Their study of world cultures and consciousness took them to places like Stonehenge, Assisi, Bodh Mother Teresa Center in Calcutta, the home of Paramahamsa Yogananda, and also Plum Village, France. When he came home to Hawaii, Ryan told me how special each of those spiritual places were. He also said that when he entered the meditation hall at Plum Village, the monastery founded by Thich Nhat Hanh, and heard their Sangha singing Breathing In, Breathing Out, and other songs from his childhood Dharma classes, he said he started to cry. In fact, I believe he said to me, "Mom, I started to bawl right there in the meditation hall at Plum Village." With tears flowing down his cheeks, he said that far away from his home in Hawaii, he felt he had come home right there in Plum Village, France, among the Sangha of Thich Nhat Hanh. I know, and probably you also know, that my need to talk about Thich Nhat Hanh stems from his recent passing on January 22nd in Vietnam. He was 95 years of age. During the days following his passing, I watched on YouTube the various ceremonies held each day by his community of monks and nuns and lay followers in Vietnam, in Plum Village, and in the United States, and felt deep, deep gratitude for this extraordinary Buddhist teacher who touched my life, my family's life, and the life of countless others. I felt a need to grieve together with our global Mahasangha around the world. I realized that although we are Buddhists belonging to various traditions, we are one global Sangha taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Thich Nhat Hanh had brought us all together in harmony and oneness. While listening to and watching the gentle, soft-spoken monks, nuns, and lay people of the various Thich Nhat Hanh Sanghas, chanting, singing, bowing, and moving about mindfully, vowing to carry on their teacher's legacy of compassionate service, I also tuned in to what was happening around the world at the same time. The continuing suffering caused by coronavirus, the threat of war in Ukraine, the threats to our democracy here at home, and the contrast was stark, eye-opening, and somewhat disturbing. Then I remembered my little girl's voice whispering in my ear 30 years ago in Berkeley. Breathing in, I calm body smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know this is a wonderful moment. Thank you, great beloved teacher Thich Nhat Hanh. Thank you, Amy. Thank you to our great global Sangha across the planet and to all who practice being peace. On this occasion of Nirvana Day, on which we commemorate the Parivat Nirvana of Shakyamuni Buddha, I bow in deep gratitude. Namu Kie Butsu, Namu Kie Ho, Namu Kie So. We take refuge in the Buddha. We take refuge in the Dharma. We take refuge in our Sangha.